Welcome to the Verdin Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. Got a special guest in the building. Got G-Sportz coming back to the program. G-Sportz, what's good? How you feeling? How you doing?
What it do, man? Football season is upon us. Let's get
We're
it.
we're in full swing. It's time to drink the Kool-Aid, overreact, do what we got to do. We got all kind of sports too. We got the Saints getting active, LSU getting active. We're gonna talk some UFC at the end of the show. Gee, it's been a minute. What you been up to, man?
Been keeping up with LSU fall camp. Um, Seeing how things been going for as the new pieces they added from the transfer portal. Uh, just seeing how close they are to getting to the point where they'll be ready to take on Clemson their Labor Day weekend, following the Saints camp. Got a chance to check their preseason game out. And just ready for things to start meaning something. Once you get in the fall camp, and after about a week or two, man, you get tired of seeing them go against each other. Now you want to see them go
Mhm.
against somebody else. So I'm excited that we're less than 3 weeks away from real game action.
Yeah, I'm trying to see them play some competition, bro. Because every now and then I kind of catch myself where I'm getting hyped, seeing something in practice. Then I remind myself, like, hey, that's against LSU. That's still LSU out there. Like, if the D line's getting hype, having a great day, which they did yesterday, pushing the O line around, it's exciting. You got some of the top defenders in the country. But then you get a little nervous because that's your O line, G. I want to get your reaction real quick to the Garrett Nussmeier injury saga. We got everybody who's an LSU fan holding their breath. They're getting nervous. Garrett Nussmeier allegedly on Twitter tore his ACL. Obviously, we know that's not true. He's out there in a knee sleeve. Still looks like he's fluid, still able to throw. For the most part, I would say he's like, let's say 85%. Now, do you have to worry about it flaring up throughout the season? Of course. Now, does the O line have a bigger, amount of pressure on their shoulders? Yeah. But what's your reaction to 13 going down and then honestly getting right back up?
The day it all happened, and I forget the guy that posted this on Twitter. I'm not really familiar with his name. But this is a clear case of somebody trying to be the first to break some news with not having concrete information.
Yeah.
Because when he first posted it, a bunch of people started talking about it. My phone was going crazy, man. Garrett, that's my Twitter. Yeah, this. Have you heard anything? And when I saw the guy that posted it, I just wasn't familiar with him. The name didn't ring a bell, but I kind of wasn't too concerned just because of me not being familiar with who posted the story. So within probably maybe 15 minutes, I was able to get some accurate information that he didn't tear his ACL. He did go down in practice and had to walk, had to be not carried off, but helped off. And they were going to do precautions to make sure they do some tests on him, but it was confirmed that he didn't tear his ACL, man. So that's just one of those things, bro. When we're in that day and age where people looking for clickbait and trying to be the first to break a story, but you got to make sure, man, you got all your ducks in a row and that your sources are credible before you post something like that. So now, when you post anything going forward, people are not gonna really believe you, bro.
Nah, yeah, you got to get your facts straight, especially on something like that that's going to set the nation on fire, dog. One of the
Yeah,
top quarterbacks in
yeah.
college football. It's been wild. I want to talk to you about the quarterback depth for LSU because naturally, whenever something like this happens, people start looking into the future a little bit, maybe getting a little too carried away with themselves, but they want to see who's the next man up, hypothetically. If Nussmeier gets sacked, God forbid, and has to roll out there, it'd be Michael Van Buren, in my opinion. But gee, he's kind of worrying me a little bit in terms of his ability to read, react, respond. And I know it's a new team, and we can talk about that. But there was a moment yesterday where Joe Sloan kind of got into him a little bit, saying he wasn't making the right read, saying he wasn't looking in the right areas. But he answered that with a shot to Zay Thomas over the middle. Zay Thomas has been having a hell of a camp too. I want to say that real quick. But my thing with Michael Van Buren is kind of similar to what you saw with Jaden Daniels. And I'm not to say it's wrong because obviously it worked for Jaden Daniels and he was able to tune it and become one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in college football ever. However, Michael Van Buren has a tendency to want to roll out the pocket a little quicker than I've seen most quarterbacks. Now, you kind of got like two evils here. You got Garrett Nussmeier, everybody saying you need to run more. Then you got Michael Van Buren / Jaden Daniels, where everybody was saying you got to run less. You're not going to always be able to please everybody, but sometimes he just doesn't look comfortable. There was a moment in the red zone period where he kind of forced something to the outside, almost threw an interception. Last week, he almost threw two interceptions. And then There was another moment too where he's rolling out. He almost gets lined by Weeks, and it's like you're putting yourself out there. Where if our backup does go in and he does take some shots like that, now we're holding our breath on him. What's your reaction to the quarterback depth? And not necessarily the future of LSU's quarterback room, but quite frankly, like the present. Who's going to answer the call if hypothetically 13 needs to take a breather?
You gotta expect Michael Van Buren to go through some bumps in the road right now, bro. This is a new offense. It's completely different than what John Levy ran at Mississippi State. So I don't expect Michael Van Buren to be looking like he hitting on all cylinders right now at fall camp. I expect everything that's happening to him. This is not something I'm surprised about. Uh, what makes me feel comfortable with him being quarterback too is that he has started in the SEC before. He has done it against one of the best teams in the country in the Georgia Bulldogs, where he threw for over 300 yards and 3 tutties. So he's capable of doing it. Nussmeier has been in college football for 5 years, so his comfortability, him being in that offense for the second year in a row, his relationship with Joe Sloan, it's just a different dynamic. Him getting majority of the reps during fall camp and the spring, he should look light years ahead of Michael Van Buren. The thing I'm looking at Michael Van Buren is when I look at him, I say to myself, he has the tools, he has the mobility, he has the arm strength. Yeah, sometimes his accuracy looks like it's not on point, but I think it's more so because when he's going through his reads, um, he might be second guessing himself sometimes, not being so sure of what a receiver's going to be when he's going through his progression. So I think that's more so what you see when you talk about his accuracy. I don't think he's just not an accurate quarterback. I just think that he's trying to get used to that offense, and he's trying to get used to what Joe Sloan wants, and how he has to get his chemistry with his receivers. Right? He's not used to Xavier Thomas. He's not used to Aaron Anderson. He's not used to Barryon Brown, Destin Hill, Chris Hilton. He got to get acclimated with those boys. Nussmeier is used to all those guys except for Barry and Brown. So people got to take that into consideration when you start talking about how a quarterback two looks. All I'm looking for is, does he have the traits? Yes, he does. And I think that the more reps that he gets, which that's not going to be a whole lot because Garrett Nussmeier going to get majority of reps. I think the more you see from him, the better he'll get. So I think it's too early to talk about, is should we be concerned if Nussmeier went down? Could Michael Van Buren get it done? I just think that we should pump our brakes on that. Know that he has done it in the SEC, and know that this is his first year in his offense, and it's just gonna take him some time. And then we talk about somebody like Colin Hurley, right? He's another one. If Colin Hurley got in there right now, I'm sure he'll probably look similar to Michael Van Buren. He's not getting a whole lot of reps. Now, this is his second year in that offense, but what we always talk about, experience is the best teacher. So Colin Hurley is another one who has all the tools, has the skill set to be a good quarterback. They just got to get the reps, bro. And in fall camp, you're just not gonna get it. It's just like in the NFL, right? Whoever that second and third string quarterback, they don't get a whole lot of reps. You heard them talk about it with Shedeur Sanders. That's why so many people was amazed how good he looked in the preseason game on Friday night, because he was only
Yep.
getting 4, maybe 5 reps during the whole training camp, right? And that's the same thing going on in college.
I want to ask you this too. It's kind of popping in my head here. Let's say the LA Tech game, the Southeastern game. Do you let your quarterback depth kind of stretch their arms? I mean, yeah, I'm not trying to say start them off rip. Maybe let Nussmeier get 2 touchdown drives, and then after that, do you throw a Michael Van Buren out, a Colin Hurley out, and let them get acclimated in live reps?
But for sure, I mean, I would anticipate that BK and Joe Sloan will come up with a plan to where if we get up 4 possessions or more and it's in the midway through the third quarter, let's get our second string quarterback in the game so he can get some experience. And I would think that this is something that has to be talked about, because Nussmeier is going after this and shit. So you want to make sure whoever's the second string quarterback is getting some type of game like experience. Last year they didn't have that luxury. They struggled against Nichols and they
Mhm.
struggled against Grambling. Was it Grambling? No, they
South
played
Alabama,
Nichols,
probably.
South Alabama. They struggled against them too. Like they didn't blow those guys out.
Now, Nichols
Not
had
to the
Guggenheimer for him. Choo!
Yeah, they didn't blow those guys out, not to the end. So you couldn't get a look at the second string quarterback or Ricky Collins and people like that, because the game was still kind of close a little bit. So I think this year, especially with that defense being better on paper, You should see Michael Van Buren get some reps this year and be able to showcase what he can do.
I think especially with Nussmeier and this tendonitis, that's going to probably make them a little hesitant to keep him out there longer than he need to be. The minute that you feel like, all right, cool, we got this in the bag. All right, take a break, get it on ice, get it on
Yeah,
ice, Nuss.
yeah. The only thing that concerns me with Nuts going down and having that scare is, will this deter him from wanting to run when he has to?
And that's a good question because people are already having questions about the mobility.
Yeah,
Now you got to
well,
question it even more.
yeah. Will he second guess himself on trying to take off and get that first down? So
Hmm.
will this bring him back and revert back to his old habits, and that's trying to fit it in these tight windows and taking a lot of chances just because he's afraid to run and get injured and re-aggravate that leg.
Right.
So that's something that to kind of monitor going forward. Um, not only in fall camp, but as they get into the season.
Yeah, last year, G7 games with an interception for Nussmeier, 4 of the 7, multiple picks. And then I think if you zoom out as a whole and comprehensively look at the offensive line, the production, Nussmeier got sacked the most when they had to put 2 of the 5 offensive linemen out there in terms of backups. Paul Mubenga, Tyree Adams, Florida gets, I think, 5 sacks on Garrett Nussmeier as a whole. That's my big worry. Is we were already talking about offensive line woes, and then here you go. You got Nussmeier's, quite frankly, sometimes a sit and duck. I mean, look, I'll say this though. I've seen him sprint since then. On Tuesday, he rolled out of the pocket. He's running through it. There's another time where he's sprinting towards the sideline, rolling out, trying to give a sidearm throw. Like he's not immobilized, but like you're saying, it's different when it's live. That's his team. His team's not going to hit him, or they shouldn't. They're not going to bang up on him. They're not going to lay out and crash into him. Clemson, I think that they are chomping at the bit for an opportunity for that. It's going to be a whole different beast whenever it gets live. And then we'll switch gears, talk about more of what I saw from practice yesterday. The offense had no luck, G. We're doing red zone drills. They're doing 7-on-7, 11v11. Every single thing that I saw, straps. And Floby, he must have been there. He must have been tapped in. That man saying DB's cooked. DBU's back. Corey Rain had been working his magic, man. I ain't gonna lie. I will say this: Jakeem Jackson, number 8, the transfer from Florida, he was out. He's been out 2 days. I think he's dealing with something on the hamstring. He's been riding the bike, staying active, taking mental reps. So with that comes an opportunity to be able to plug and play and get different combinations out there. We saw Mansour Delane and PJ Woodland. We saw Ashton Stamps and DJ Pickett. Obviously, it's been a lot of Mansour and Ashton, but being able to mix the guys around, I think, has been kind of playing dividends. 7v7, straight clamps, straight locking down their zones. No type of looks at all. There was one where Zay Thomas kind of took Deshaun Spears for a ride. Other than that, I feel like the offense was pretty sedentary. 11v11, it got even worse. D-line blew him up. Pert got inside on a run stop. The heat was getting put on the offensive line. I'm not going to lie. Barely moved on the runs. Gaps were getting filled, running straight into tackles. And then to top it all off, the cherry on top, they did a wildcat play, put Caleb Jackson behind center. Ball goes over his head. Mansour Delane comes in, scoops and scores. 80-yard touchdown. Brian Kelly was pissed. And this happens. This was one of the moments, like at the beginning of the stream, when I was saying, hey, you playing against your own team. So the good moments make you excited, but it's against your squad. What's your reaction to the trenches, the struggling that we're seeing right now with the run game, and do you have any worries on that? Because it was a lack of production last year in the run game, and this year I'm hoping that the offensive line can get that push. I fact that it'll open everything up.
I was just talking to LSU receiver Colin Billiard about this the other day. When you're going through training camp in the NFL, when you're going through training camp in the NBA, when you're going through fall camp in college football, you're going to have some good days. You're going to have some bad days. The offense has looked better than the defense in some of these days in fall camp. And people got to understand this too. The media is not catching every facet of
Nope.
practice.
They're catching what we
So
want to catch or what they want us
exactly,
to catch.
exactly. And so the offense has had the defense number and a number of days throughout this fall camp. Now, with having said all of that, when you talk about the snap going over Caleb Jackson's head, that's stuff that you cannot have in a red zone.
Please,
You can't
Lord, no.
have, that's simple execution that should not be happening, especially on this level.
Yeah.
When you talk about having mishaps and pass pro with your running back, things like that, that's stuff that concern you. But when you start talking about the DBs having a good day against the receivers, or they locking down their zones and it was tough on the score in the red zone, you gotta expect that and fall camp. It's some great competition. These guys know each other. It's gonna be some good days and some bad days on both sides. It's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's anything to be concerned about. The only thing that I would keep paying attention to, and we talked about this before fall camp even started, is just the cohesiveness on that offensive line and the creativeness with how Joe Sloan plans to run the ball this year.
Yep.
That's the two things that you're paying attention to, right? Can Joe Sloan come up with some different ways to get that running game going? Because running inside zone like he did last year got them nowhere. It got them nowhere. You know, a lot of the times when Caden Durham did break a long run, bro, he had to be a super ninja, right? It should
Juju
not
and
have
Joe
to.
all over the place.
Yeah, it should not have to be that in this year too. As him being the offensive coordinator. So I think that he'll get some things figured out, and I think by the time they play Clemson, you will see some different creative ways on how they plan on running that ball. Because, as you know, in the SEC, when you get into 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2 on the goal line, you gotta be able to get those short yardage, bro. You
Yeah.
gotta be able to get that short yardage, and if you can't, that could be the X factor into why you win or lose games.
No, I agree completely. And the thing I'm trying to remind myself to kind of taper the emotions, the expectations is look, even if the O line's struggling, maybe you got a good defensive line. That's sometimes the curse of having a good defense is that
Mhm.
sometimes they're going to make them look like that. Sometimes, like, look, you wanted pressure, you wanted intensity, you wanted LSU to get that fiery defense back. Looks like they got it. Here's my standout so far from that side of the ball, defensive side, through camp. Bernard Gooden, transfer from South Florida. Not a lot of people were talking about him. A lot of people
Super
were
twitchy,
focused
very
on the
very twitchy.
edges. Everybody was focused on great pieces as well. But man, that inside pressure from 88, he's been everywhere. And when I mean everywhere, I mean he has been everywhere. That is my number one head turner, both sides of the ball. Bernard Gooden, shout out to him. Jack Pyburn, I'll throw him in the mix as well. He's done some super athletic shit, not even just being physical and violent. There was times where he's on one side of the line, Caden Durham's runs to the opposite, and he's running through everybody, dog, to make a tackle. That's what I like to see. Then I'm gonna give a shout out to two DBs, AJ Halsey, masterpiece, cinema, all over the place, making tackles, plays in coverage, just huge, huge. Zay Thomas came over the middle one time to make a catch, boom, accidentally laid the wood down. And then lastly, DB PJ Woodland. I mean, here's why. There's a lot of tools that I think you can have as a DB. Yeah, you can have the footwork, the speed, the coverage ability, all this shit. I just think, like when we were talking about Tyrann Mathieu, he's so instinctive. He knows where to be at the right time. And even if he's a smaller guy, that's not going to prohibit him. And I think PJ Woodland fills that similar mold where he's a little bit smaller and sometimes he's going to have to, have a little more oomph to be able to make up for that. But there was a look where Trudez Green is in the red zone. PJ Woodland deflects it over 6'7", Trudez Green. Now, Micah Van Buren might have thrown it a little short, but either way, PJ Woodland's making plays out here, G. So got to give him some credit. I think he'll be hard to keep off the field. Those are my guys that I've really, really, really been fond of through camp. What's your thoughts on that? Who are you looking for?
As it pertains to PJ Woodland, just following him ever since he was in high school in Mississippi. I want to say he was the player of the year in his state. PJ Woodland is a superior athlete. He's very instinctive, like you talked about. I think where BK and Blake Baker is going to have to try to get on the same page is, do you trust PJ Woodland on 1st and 2nd down when a team could possibly run the ball? I think that's what they're going to have to figure out, because he's going to have to be able to show up in the run game, bro. And look, I believe that PJ Woodland is a willing tackler. But at the end of the day, in college football, especially on that level, you're always trying to find matchups. And if you could find a way to run to his side and he could be a liability in the run game, teams are going to exploit that. He has to be able to fit the run. And if anybody knows anything about playing nickelback, it's essentially like a linebacker in a sense,
Near
right?
that line of scrimmage, yep.
Yeah, so you have to take fitting the run very, very serious. I think Blake Baker believes that PJ Woodland can not be a liability in the run game if it's on 1st or 2nd down or short yardage or whatever the case may be. I think he has to win over BK throughout this whole fall camp for BK to sign off and say, I trust PJ Woodland being out there at the nickelback on 1st and 2nd down, and he won't be a liability in the run game. I think that's something that's to pay close attention to. We know he can cover. We know, like you talked about, we know he instinctive. We know he's a football player.
Mm-hmm.
But at that size and stature, can he show up in the run game consistently? And that's big when you talk about the SEC and you talk about going on at a Clemson, because they're gonna try to figure a way to run to his side and exploit that.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, I feel like that's one of the more important things as well, is not having a liability out there, because you're going to get targeted. You're going to get plucked. You got a lot of rotational depth, a lot of pieces, a lot of names. Just got to find the right fit, got to find the right combo out there. I want to ask you about that too, because I feel like in every position, your edge, your D lineman, your safety, your corner, you got 2 to 3 rotations of guys that you can throw out there. How big you think that is in terms of being able to lean on depth, but depth that's actually playable? Like all of these guys can see. Like I'm watching the twos, and I got starters in the twos that I can pick out. Like it just seems like this team is deep.
Yes, bro. They have a lot of competitive depth. When you talk about that secondary, bro, especially if Jakeem Jackson gets healthy, which I think he will.
Mm-hmm.
That I know he battled a lot of injuries at Florida last year, so I hope this is not a recurring thing for him for this upcoming season. If you got him in the fold with Mansell Delane, Ashton Stamps, Tamarcus Cooley, Halsey, Deshaun Spears, bro, Michael Turner, bro, DJ Pickett,
You
that's
still
a
got
lot of
Togiano, Jordan Gilbert. Yeah.
that's a lot of competitive depth. And then when you talk about on the D line, that's another room that has a lot of competitive depth. Gabe Rutherford, Sadell Mitchell, Bernard Gooden, Jacobian Guillory, Sean Washington,
Ahmad Tank.
Patrick Payton, Ahmad Bro, Dominic McKinley. I mean, bro, Tyburn. I could
Yeah.
go on and on, right? So they're gonna be able to rotate guys in and out of the in and out, and be able to keep guys fresh. I think that's big when you talk about the SEC. And I said this months ago when we were talking about the upcoming season and things of that nature, and why Georgia and Bama are always so good. One of the things that was always consistent with Georgia and Bama, and I know Kirby Smart and Nick Saban come off from the same tree, is they're able to rotate 8 to 9 guys on the D line throughout the whole course of a game. And
Nobody breathing heavy.
that's why they're so fresh. And that's why when the fourth quarter come, they just keep coming at you and keep coming at you, keep coming at you. I think
Mm-hmm.
LSU has the opportunity to be able to do the same thing this year with all the competitive depth they got at the D line. And when you talk about the secondary,
Yep.
right? And when you're able to do that, bro, it just gives you so much versatility. It gives you an opportunity to be to do so many different things schematic wise. And I think Blake is going to be able to show how good of a DC he is, because he got so many different toys to play with.
Yeah, you're not handcuffed no more. Now you can do a variety of things. Like Flo be saying in the chat too, D-line about to be feasting. It's like the '03 LSU defense. Guess what, dog? That's a Kyle Williams effect too. You add another piece like that. D-line didn't have a lot of stability in terms of coaching. I'm not going to jump the gun because we still got to see him play. But Kyle Williams, his addition to that coaching staff, him getting put into there, it looks like it's paying off. Everybody looks physical across the board. I mean, we just rattled off 8 to 9 guys. And then not to mention the fact that you still got a lot of experienced players from Dom, Ahmad, Tank. I mean, I would say Sadir, even though he got 1 year at Texas. Either way, my point being is all these guys are pretty much proven. I'm excited to see how they look throughout the season. Clemson, what are we, 17 days away from it? Time's ticking, bro. Time's ticking. What did Coach Butler say? Shit or get off the pot? It's shit in time, G. Let's move over to the preseason ball. Saints, Chargers took a L, 27-13 in the first preseason game. We'll be at the next preseason game. They got the Jaguars and the Saints who will pop out, trying to see what it do. Tyler Shaw scared some people at first, G. Had to pick 6. Ooh, had a decent outing after that, though. I ain't gonna lie. 15 to 22, 68% pass completion, 165 pass yards. Got himself a touchdown. So I threw 2 touchdowns if you look at it optimistically. Spencer Rattler, 7 for 11, 7-11, always open. 63% pass completion, 53 yards in the air, 22 yards on the ground. All right, I'm gonna say some things people might not want to hear. All right, let's go. Spencer Rattler, he's hitting his ceiling right now, G. I could be wrong. I'll let you respond. I just don't think Spencer gets that much better. I think Shaw could win this job still, especially if he keeps performing like he did now. Shaw's got way more upside. I'm not gonna lie. Worst case scenario, I could see Rattler coming in for 3 to 4 weeks, and then Tyler Shaw taking it after that. I don't know. I'm not liking what I'm seeing for Spencer Rattler. But at the end of the day, like it's better than nothing. I'll say that. It's better than Jake Heiner, and I'm not trying to disrespect Jake Heiner, but I'm just saying.
Look, For all the Saints fans that think Spencer Rattler has a chance to win his job, you're sadly mistaken.
Like
And
that.
that's not me trying to shit on Spencer Rattler because I think he's a very promising quarterback. But Kellen Moore did not take this job and draft Tyler Shaw in the second round to have him as quarterback too. It ain't gonna happen. The only way Spencer Rattler would have had an opportunity to win his job, he would have to come out throughout the whole training camp and just be undeniable. It
Mhm.
can't be close. He would have to tremendously separate himself from Tyler Shaw, and it just ain't gonna happen. And it showed in the preseason game. Uh, do I think Tyler Shaw is about to have a phenomenal season? No, I do not. I think he's going to have a above average season. I think you're going to see him get better as the season goes on. But he's going to have his bumps in the road like he did with that pick six. But then what I liked about Tyler Shaw on Friday, or was it Saturday, whatever the day the game
Sunday.
was, for him to bounce back the very next drive and throw the touchdown pass to Tempton, who a lot of people are high on throughout this training camp with the study and go. I thought that was a great way to respond. So that
Hmm.
let me know that he wasn't mentally checked out after having a crucial pick six, early on in the game like that. He showed some ability to be able to get out the pocket and make plays with his legs and get the ball on the field and things of that nature. So I think Kellen Moore sees promise. I think he sees a lot of potential in Tyler Shaw. I think he understands that this is going to be a rebuilding year. This is going to be a year to try to build Tyler Shaw's confidence and be able to get him some experience. And then year two, you will see a quarterback that we could probably look at to be the future of the New Orleans Saints. I just don't anticipate the Saints having a team or the roster to be able to win more than 6 games this year. I think 6 games is their max. Um, Looking at the preseason, I'm trying to find some guys that could possibly help. I'm looking at people like Isaiah Foskett, bro, who we drafted in the second round a couple years ago. I mean, when is he going to show that he was worth the second round pick, bro? He just not living up to the bill. In the run game, he was always vulnerable, but in the pass game, he just can't get to the pass and be that guy that we expected him to be when we drafted him early like that. All right. You talk about somebody like Christian Boyd at the D tackle, who we drafted in the sixth round the year before last. I liked what I saw from him, bro. He has a motor. He looks like a guy that could play a lot this year and rotate in at the D tackle spot and give the Saints a lot of depth right there behind Brian Brzee and Sanders and uh Devon Godchild, who they just brought in. So that was good to see. And I know the starters were not there on defense, but I think it was clear that they lack athleticism on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's going to be something that they're going to struggle with this year, bro. Trey Lance just kept making plays after plays with his legs and moving out
Well,
the pocket and making first downs. And like he just kept doing it. And even when you talk about the Saints starters, I don't think they don't have the personnel that's going to have an athletic group out there. So I think that's going to be a common thing. I think they're going to struggle with guys that can move with their legs at quarterback this year. I think that's going to be something they're going to struggle with. So, Saints fans just got to be prepared for the season. I hope I'm wrong. I always say this. I'm like me predicting them that they'll only win 6 games this year. I hope they prove me wrong and win 10, 11 games this year. I really hope that, but I just don't see it.
no, I don't at all. Yeah, dude, Trey Lance almost had more yards through his own pair of legs alone than the entire Saints
Yeah,
rushing
and,
game.
and I think Trevor Penning was the only offensive lineman that was a starter that played on in the game on Sunday. So
They're
you
moving
know,
him to left guard.
yeah, I think he was at left guard. He was the only starter I seen out there. So and look, the offensive line they had out there, they struggled, bro. They
What?
struggled.
They
They
gave up
struggled.
5 sacks, and then I
They
was going to ask
struggled.
you this too. Now it could be because they're playing from behind, trying to catch up, all this stuff.
No,
But
they
if you
struggled from
look,
the beginning.
yeah, if you look at the run production, dog, 61 rushing yards. They're three backs, Kendre, Clyde, and then I forgot the other one.
Cam Akers.
Yeah, Akers. They all on 4+ carries were averaging 2 yards per carry, dog. And
Now I
like I
will say,
said,
I,
O
I,
line gave up
I
5 sacks.
now I will say this, and I know his stats don't show it, but if you watch the game, man, I like what I saw from Kendrick Miller. I like what I saw from Kendrick Miller. I like the way he was falling forward. I like that burst I seen from him when he got around the corner. I like his size. I like his ability to be able to take on contact and still be able to get 2 and 3 yards after that. I think Kendrick Miller gonna be a vital piece to the New Orleans Saints offense this year. So uh and I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I like Cam Akers too. I think they running back room is pretty solid. And if Alvin Kamara could show anything from his past years, I think that they could have one of the best tandems in the NFC South, bro. But uh tight end, I think it's gonna be a struggle. The receiver position, you look at it. I know we got Shahi, I know we got Chris Olave, I know they got Brandon Cooks, and I think those three receivers are pretty good, bro. But they don't have a guy with that length at 6'2", 6'3", that when it's 3rd and 6 and you need to get a contested catch for a first down. I don't see that. I know they probably trying to, they got a lot of hope in Bub Means. I think Bub Means is a complimentary guy. I don't think that he is somebody you're gonna be able to rely on week in and week out to be able to come down with those tough contested catches in this league. I just don't see it. I know they got Dante Pettis. These guys, Cedric Wilson, I don't think these guys are somebody that you can rely on week in and week out. I think they're complimentary guys. So I was hoping that the Saints will make a trade to go get him a receiver, with some size and some length, to be able to have somebody on the outside to be able to make those type of catches. But at the end of the day, I think Mickey Loomis and Kellen Moore know the writings on the wall. I think they know that this season is going to be a wash. They know this not a playoff roster, and I think they're just gonna chuck it up and roll with Tyler Shaw and have a top 10 pick in the draft next year and go get the best receiver in the draft. I think that should be the plan.
Sounds like a solid plan. Everybody's thinking they're gonna go out there and draft a quarterback, dog. I ain't
I,
thinking that you need to.
bro, Tyler Shaw would have to absolutely like shit the bed for them to go and draft somebody in the first round after just drafting a quarterback in the second round.
Yeah, that would
People
look
gotta
wild.
understand, bro. It just the NFL don't work like that. Like,
Nah.
I'm not saying it is impossible of happening. I just can't see Mickey Loomis and Kellen Moore doing it. Now,
Nah.
if they had picked Tyler Shaw like in the 4th or the 5th round, maybe so. Not a second round pick, bro.
Mm-mm.
I can't see it.
Especially that high in the second round, damn near
Yeah,
first
can't
round
see it.
pick. Slide into our reaction segment. Everybody that's tapped in right now, hit that thumbs up. Drop any comments if you got any questions. We're gonna be doing our normally top 3 headline reactions. I squeezed in an extra one for there, so we got 4 headlines to react to. First one, the craziest one, the most interesting one. John Mateer. Apparently, he's a gambling man. Or allegedly, he's denying it, saying he's joking with friends. So if you don't know, I'll explain. Venmo lets you put a description for payment. Let's see. Say I'm paying G for beating me and C at B25. G, here you go. You murk me. I could put a cheese emoji. I could put whatever I want as a description. John Mateer is putting gambling, sports gambling, UCLA versus USC. And then sports gambling again to his buddy Richard. Now, look, I wouldn't advise this. I doubt you can prove this. I think he gets off scot-free. So, John Mateer, play ball, get ready. What's your reaction to this? Did you see it? And, what are you going to do about this?
Yeah,
What is this?
a bunch of my partners, we all in a group message, and they know I'm a Michigan fan, and they were saying you ain't gonna have to worry about John Mateer because he about to get suspended for gambling. They play Oklahoma played Michigan, I think week 2 or week 3, and so as I looked into the story, bro, this is nothing to react about. They're not gonna be able to prove that he really gambled.
Nah.
You're just not gonna be able to do it. These college athletes that are gambling, that's the way to do it if you're gonna do it. That's not me condoning it and promoting this. I'm just saying, at least he being smart about it. If he is doing it, I'm
Yeah.
gonna send the money to one of my partners. I'm gonna let him take my picks, right? And as it pertains to what he put in the what you call that when he put
The
sports
description?
gambling? Yeah,
Yeah.
when he put in the description, bro, I can relate to that. Just on maybe 2 weeks ago, one of my homegirls was down here, and we went half on an Uber because we had drove we had it was a we went a long ways. I think the Uber was like $60 or something, and I was
Right.
bullshitting with her, and I sent her 30, right, and in the description on Cash App I put prostitution. You know what I mean? I put prostitution, bro, and I was just bullshitting. Like it really was for a Uber. I was just sending her half the money. So I'm not saying that he's not gambling, but I'm not saying he is gambling. I'm just saying that he could have been bullshitting. But I ain't gonna lie, that description look a little too detailed with putting sports gambling, then
Yeah.
putting
The
the
game.
yeah, then put
Yeah, bro.
UCLA versus USC. Like that's a little too detailed. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
bro. And then it gets even more grimy when you look it up, bro. 2022, my man John Mateer was 18 years old. He is 21 right now. He was
yeah,
underage gambling. Then he's
and
in
and look,
legally.
and look, this is my stance on it too. I know the rule is they shouldn't be gambling as college athletes. If this was something where he was betting on his own team, I would have a serious problem with it.
Like a
I would have a
catch
serious
twenty two
problem because now
situation.
you're taking away the integrity of the sport. Because I'm a really huge sports fan, and I don't want to be watching these games feeling like it's all rigged. You know, people already kind of be saying that anyway. But this would give more confirmation if he was betting on the Washington State games.
It
So
would.
that's the first thing I wanted to see. I'm like, man, I hope this dude wouldn't bet on their games. And he wasn't. I'm not let me retract what I'm saying. I'm not saying he betting at all. I'm just saying I was happy to see USC versus UCLA versus Washington State and UCLA.
Yeah, because if it was Washington State, now you're in a whole different situation. Now this investigation gets a lot more grimy. I ain't gonna lie to
Yeah,
you.
but
So yeah,
bro, there's no way they could tie this back
no
to him.
way.
Like,
And you can't
there's nothing
prove.
they could
Yeah,
do.
right. You can't
There's no-
prove it.
the NCAA probably and they probably not even going to investigate this.
I can see it. I can see it. John Mateer, you got lucky. Everybody's riding the Oklahoma bus. I think they're 18 in the AP poll. Never know. Hopefully this
Yeah,
don't
I think
mess
Oklahoma could
them up.
be a sleeper. I do.
Okay, especially the John Mateer, the arm. I don't think a lot of people know about him. His production. Let's talk about Shador Sanders real quick. Had a hell of a preseason debut. Not gonna lie, it's 60% completion percentage, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he might miss the next game on Saturday. Per Adam Schefter, today he got hurt in practice during a throwing period. It's an oblique injury. Hopefully this injury doesn't affect him. This is a double-sided reaction for you. First things first, react to this and then react to his preseason debut against the Panthers. Wait, was it the Panthers? I think it was. My bad.
Yeah, it was. It was the Panthers.
Okay. Well,
Um, like I talked about early on in this segment when we was discussing Michael Van Buren, you know, coming in fall camp and why he hasn't looked the best and things of that nature. Yeah, it's preseason. Yeah, I know they run vanilla coverages, and you're not seeing everything that a defensive coordinator is going to throw at you when the regular season comes. But for Shador Sanders to come out there and put on a performance that he did on the other night, with only getting 4 to 5 reps every practice, I think that's outstanding.
that
I,
is.
I think that says a lot about him. I think that says a lot about his mental makeup. I think that says a lot about how cerebral he is and how confident he is. And the throw he made rolling to the left and threw it like in the back of the end zone, like toward the pile line, bro, that was a throw. That was a throw. That was in between a linebacker and I think that was a corner of safety. Like he put it with only his receiver catch the ball. So and he showed some ability to get out the pocket and scramble and get a first down. I think he might have ran for like 12 or 15 yards on that play. Uh, Shadur Sanders is who I thought he was coming out of college. I think this is somebody that got blackballed by the NFL owners. I
Hmm.
think they all had a plan to sabotage him in the draft. I think they all got on a Zoom call and said, "Look, we gonna make him and his daddy pay. All right, we're not gonna draft him early on. We're gonna make him wait." And some of the things that the Browns owner came out and said throughout training camp, man, some of that stuff is just very disturbing. That's what I would hope for Jadir Sanders, bro. I would hope that he doesn't make the final 53.
Get to a new team.
Yeah, I hope the Browns release him. They got 4 quarterbacks on the roster: Joe Flacco, Dylan
Kenny.
Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, and Shadur Sanders. You're
Oh
not gonna
wait,
keep
they
four.
got Deshaun Watson too.
Yeah, but he's not playing this year.
You're right.
Well, I don't think he's playing this year, if I'm
Mm-mm.
not
Torn
mistaken.
Achilles. Yeah.
Yeah. So uh you're not gonna keep 4 quarterbacks on your roster. It ain't gonna happen. You know, could they try to move Shadur Sanders to the practice squad? Maybe. But if I'm Shadur Sanders' agent, and I don't even think he got an agent, I think he might be representing himself. Um, or he might have signed with Young Money, because that's who Travis Hunter signed with.
He don't have a traditional agent. No, his father guided him. It says.
Yeah, so it's all right. So he's not represented by anybody. So, if I'm him and his daddy, bro, I'm talking to the owner, I'm talking to the GM and saying, man, release me, and let me sign with a team that that values me and that's going to give me a fair opportunity. Because if you go back and play that tape, what the owner said when they asked him about Shedeur Sanders, bro, he is not set up for success there. It's almost like there's only one guy in the whole building that believes in Shedeur Sanders. I forgot his name, the scout. Because when he did good Friday night, somebody posted him on Twitter say he the only one in the personnel department or in the front office that's happy that Shedeur Sanders is having a good game. I think his last name Barry, black guy.
Andrew Barry is a GM.
He the GM?
Yeah, Andrew Barry. Yeah.
Okay, damn. I don't know how I missed that. I thought he was a scout. I'm sorry. That usually don't go past me. But anyway, they were saying that he the only one that believed in Shedeur Sanders. He was the only one that was advocating for him throughout the draft. So if I'm Deion Sanders and I'm Shedeur Sanders, I'm telling them, man, release me. And I know it's only a preseason game, but I think what he showed against the Panthers, with only getting 4 or 5 reps of practice, should make a team say, this is somebody we might need to take a look at and bring it to our organization. And he could possibly be somebody that could be our starter one day, right? There's a ton of teams out there that needs a quarterback, bro. And I think Shedeur Sanders and his daddy need to really consider doing it.
Yeah, they got some players. I mean, you never know, too, because people can get banged up. People can get injured. There was a quarterback the other day that hit their hand on a helmet and had to have it was Jordan Love. Oh, shit. It was the Packers quarterback. I'm sitting here forgetting. Yeah, Jordan Love just had to have a little.
But they got Malik Willis as their backup. And Malik,
they do.
And Malik Willis did a pretty good job coming in as a starter when Jordan Love got hurt last year. So I don't think that's probably a good situation.
No, you're right. I'm not talking about him going there. I just mean like you never know what's going to happen because Jordan Love has one of the more secure spots ever in NFC, but he could get banged up and get out there. Like this is a sport where it's going to be around.
Who's the starter in Seattle?
Seattle has Sam Darnold.
See,
and they got Cooper Kupp. Interesting turnaround this season.
See. I'll be trying to get to Seattle.
What about Titans? Titans ain't a bad spot, but not Seattle.
No. Titans got Cam Ward. Hell no.
Oh, okay. I forgot. I remember they had Will Levis. I forgot about the Cam Ward situation. I'm out here having them battle and having a beef again. My bad.
I'm gonna tell you something else I'll be trying to get to. If I'm Shedeur Sanders or Deion Sanders, man, send me to Pittsburgh.
Choo. Learn from
me to Pittsburgh. Let me go sit behind A-Rod. A-Rod only got maybe a year left
at most. Yeah.
Let me go sit behind. Let me go play for Coach Mike Tomlin. Yeah. Let me go in a culture like that. Man, I'm telling you, that's what I would do if I'm Shedeur Sanders and Deion. Let me get out of Cleveland.
And Pi Mayo in the chat saying the Rams, Matthew Stafford had a little bit of a camp injury too. That's not a bad spot as well.
That's another
Devontae Adams out there.
Can you imagine Shedeur Sanders with Sean McVay?
And Kyron Williams. Devontae Adams. Come on, man. They got a lot of people.
I'm telling you. I hope the guy, he is not on that final 53 after the last preseason game. I hope the Browns just part ways with him, bro.
That'd be interesting. That'd be a shock. What I would send ripples through the whole entire social media. Oh, Hakeem said Seattle has Jalen Milroe too. I forgot about that. I forgot.
Mean, I like Milroe, but if I had to pick, I'm picking Shedeur.
Yeah,
I think Milroe just has a long way to go as a passer.
He does. I think he does too. Mobility is great, but yeah, that arm, especially through the Senior Bowl for whatever you could take it for, is a little rough, a little bit of growing pains. All right, got 2 headlines we're going to react to real quick before we hop out of here. Finish this segment. UFC selling their rights deal, moving to CBS, going away from ESPN. This is big. I would say $7.5 billion, but damn, it's almost $8 billion for the deal over 7 years. I would say about 4 to 5 years ago, the UFC sold for $4 billion. Now they're in a situation where the revenue keeps growing. The eyes that are going to be watching it will keep growing. They're going to put their cards on CBS, which means now it's on cable television. More fans, more exposure, higher numbers, leads to more growth. My only takeaway from this is, Dana, got to pay the fighters, big dog. Gonna have to. This is going to trickle down. Everybody's talking about fighters aren't getting paid enough. The minimum when you start in the UFC is $10,000 to show, $10,000 to win. You're making 20 bands every 6 months. Not a horrible gig for the amount of work.
Get my head beat in. That's not enough.
And you got to pay coaches. You got to pay the gym. You got to pay for all your food. You got to pay
who
for
the highest paid fighter right now?
It battles. It depends. All right, so it depends on if you're a champ, if you get pay-per-view points. I would say right now it'd probably be like someone like Islam Makachev, most of the guys making $3 to $5 million a fight, the big guys. And then you thinking about boxing, dog, you making like Terrence Crawford and Canelo, they probably gonna take home like $100 million each. Watch, let's go see. I gotta go see the purse for
No,
Canelo.
not 100 million each,
Oh
bro.
yes, sir. Watch. Hey, boxing
Terrence
money's
Crawford and
different.
Canelo, you think they will get 100 million each?
I think it'll be big, brother. I'm sorry, it's a huge fight. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah,
Yeah, it could be
Canelo.
huge. I
Listen,
don't know about 100 million each though.
Canelo's getting 150 million, and they said Crawford's beginning purse is 50 million. Because Floyd Mayweather used to make 100 million every time he popped out.
Well,
Conor
that's
got 100,
no,
he
no,
got
no, no,
200.
no, no. Floyd, that's a whole different
It is.
stratosphere, bro. Come
It
on now.
is. It is, but for two reasons. One, because he had his own promotion and he was getting a nice cut, and I was smart. He a frugal guy. He business mind. But now that Floyd's out, I think there are names that are close to him. Canelo is close to him in terms of how big he is. Getting $150 million for 25 minutes, bro. I can fight Shaq. Put Shaq in the ring with me. Give me that money. I'm going, bro. I'm going to war. I'm sorry. But yeah,
Uh,
anyway, they got to pay the fighters, dog. Because even if they're making the 50 million like Terrence, that's a discrepancy. That is 10 times what guys like Dustin Poirier or Shama are going to take home. I ain't gonna lie. They're taking home a few million. These people out here taking home
man,
100.
I'm happy to see UFC growing like that, man. To go from 4 billion to 7 billion and get that contract, that's big. And I've never been a huge fan of UFC fighting, and I think a big part of it was because I've never wanted to pay for a pay-per-view fight. But now
It's
that it's going to
crazy.
be on cable TV, I'm going to tune in more. So you make a good
No,
point when you say that.
I ain't paying no $80. G, I love this shit. I eat, sleep, breathe UFC, and you right, dog. I ain't paying no $80 to watch this. I'll go stream it. Sorry, Dana. You have to catch me. All right, last headline. Ty Simpson, starting quarterback at Alabama. Not a shocker. We expected it. Talked to Roman Harper, talked to Jordan Rogers, a lot of the SEC guys. Everybody was saying that this looked like the decision to make. However, I want to talk to you about them still being a top 3 SEC team. Does this decision swoo you in either direction? Are they top 3? Are they not top 3? Do you think Alabama has everything figured out now? Or does Kalen DeBoer still have a long road ahead for the season?
I think whoever was going to win this job, and we pretty much knew Ty Simpson was going to win it. He would have had to really just come in fall camp and look terrible for Austin Mack, who transferred from Washington, or the true freshman Keelan Russell out of Duncanville High School to win that job. He would have really had to shit the bed. Having said all of that, I think Ty Simpson could possibly be all right and have a pretty solid season because of the weapons he have around him. He got Jam Miller coming back at running back, who's really, really good. Richard Young comes back, who was a true freshman last year, who showed flashes that he could be pretty, pretty good. And then you talk about that bad man on the outside at Ryan Williams, who was going to be arguably the best receiver in the country, depending on who you're talking to. Some people might say Jeremiah Smith.
It's 1A, 1B, bro. Like either way, you can't go wrong. I ain't lying.
Yeah. And then you bring in the big receiver Horton from Miami in a transfer portal, who I think is really, really good. And then you got Hale. You still got uh Bernard. Like they got a really, really good receiving core, right? When you got good pieces around a quarterback that might not be a showstopper in a sense, you could kind of get away with it because all he got to do is get the ball in the playmaker's hands, and they're gonna be able to make plays, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you talk about Alabama on defense, Damani Jackson comes back at corner, right? You got Lawson at linebacker coming back. You got Big Keenan in the middle at D tackle, right? You got some guys that's coming back on that defense that had a ton of experience and that's going to have an opportunity to get picked in the first 3 rounds of the draft. So when you got a good defense, like Alabama's going to have, along with the weapons they got on offense, with their running game, I think that could put Ty Simpson in a situation where he won't have to do too much to be able to put Bama in position to compete for the SEC. So I don't think this is a big deal. I think the board knows what he has in Ty Simpson. I think he's going to be a guy that he's going to put in position to be able to, get the ball in playmakers' hands, and they're going to be able to put up some points.
And they have an interesting week 1 game starting off against Florida State, G, on the road at
Yeah,
2:30
yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that spread should be probably minus 17.
for Bama.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. I think Florida State gonna struggle this year, bro. I really
Man,
do. Yeah. What's the quarterback name they got from Boston College?
let me look it up.
I don't know how to pronounce it for Florida State.
Last year they had a tough one too with Ulagale. Thomas Castellanos.
Castellanos, right? Castellanos will definitely have to put his cape on every goddamn week.
Is he the one that was saying give us Alabama? He was the one
Yeah,
hyping all that
yeah,
shit up. Oh,
yeah, yeah. Castellanos will definitely have to put his cape on week in and week out for Florida State to have any kind of chance to be in the mix to win the ACC, bro. They just don't have the roster. You go look at their roster. You wonder what the hell happened.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just not set up for them to have a good year. And I think they could put Mike Norvell really on the hot seat, and that job could possibly be open at the end of the year.
No doubt. I think he might be one of the coaches with the toughest situations. ACC, it used to be theirs, dog. Now you got Clemson, UNC, Miami. Shit. They even got SMU,
Yeah,
Duke.
and SMU got a lot coming back. That quarterback Jennings, he one of the
Yep.
best in the country. I think he should be a Heisman sleeper. So I think Florida State probably the fourth or the fifth best team in the ACC in my opinion.
And that ain't good when we're talking about that many teams because at the end of the day, you only got 2 opportunities to win the conference championship. That means you got 2 different games you can make before you throw their name in the hat. That ain't where you want to be. I'm about to hop out of here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Y'all hit that thumbs up. We'll be back at practice on Friday. So when we hop on the stream at 1 o'clock, we're gonna have highlights. We got rundown notes. Hopefully some good news. Hopefully the offense goes out there, flex some muscle, puts on a show. 17 days. 17. Leave the fans with one takeaway for LSU Clemson that they could ponder on for the next 17 days. What's your takeaway? Let's simmer on something.
You say what's something that the fans could take away in the next 17 days?
Yeah, 17 days. Give them something to just think about. LSU Clemson matchup wise.
Man, I really feel like it's gonna be a game that's gonna come down to the wire. I think they two evenly matched teams. You know, in certain positions, one might be better than the other. But I think this game gonna come down to one possession, bro. It could be a field goal, it could be a touchdown. I think it's gonna come down to one possession for either team to win this game. I really do. So for any, I heard somebody saying that they not impressed with Clemson. I heard a few people saying that online that they're not impressed with Clemson as much as other people are, and they think LSU gonna come in there and win this game by 2 possessions or more. I beg to differ. I beg to
Yeah,
differ, man. What Clemson has coming back, especially on both sides of the ball, and then when you talk about the quarterback position and Clay Klubnik, who was pretty good last year and
very.
got better as the season went on. You gotta anticipate him having a good year and coming out that week one matchup with all guns blazing. So
Yep.
I think that week one matchup gonna be box office. And I know Ohio State and Texas play week one. Who else we got? It's like
This
four.
is the tough two is or the top two is games would be that one, and they got the 12 o'clock slot. We got the primetime slot. Let me go look at week one in its whole though. You're gonna have Florida State and Bama. That's another good one. Other than that, bro, that's about it.
I think it's supposed to be like four games. One on the West Coast.
Syracuse, Tennessee. That's all right. Alabama, Florida
I'm
State.
gonna watch. I'm gonna watch that Syracuse Tennessee because of Ricky Collins.
Yeah, you ain't lying. You ain't lying. Let me keep scrolling. I'm still looking. Yeah, nah, bro. I
So there's
don't know.
somebody on the West Coast that got a good game. I think.
It looked like a lot of open games to me. I'm scrolling. I'm keep looking. Notre Dame in Florida, maybe Miami. Notre
Yeah,
Dame in Miami. That's what I meant.
yeah. That's gonna be a
That
good
ain't
one.
that ain't gonna be bad at all. My man Dana White saying he's pulling up for that one. Virginia Tech and South Carolina. That ain't bad for week one. You can get to see what South Carolina's made of real quick. But yeah, here's my takeaway for everybody to simmer on. K Klubnik's top 3 receivers from last season, all of them back. Everybody focusing on Antonio Williams for good reason. Hell of a receiver. His number 1, number 2, number 3 options all returning. So we're excited about our deep wide receiver room. They got one that's potentially not just as deep, but close. Close. DBs are going to have a test. O-line's going to have a test. DB's going to have a test. LSU's got a test in general. Let's win week 1. 1-0. They were playing them running down, touching the rock, and like running down the hill, Dabo and Clemson and all that. They were playing that at practice. A little visualization. Come on, get used to the environment.
Whatever BK got to do to get him motivated.
Yeah. We're ready now. Now we have decided we are winning week 1. It's over. We've left the last few years in the past. Everybody can get excited now. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up. Follow us on socials. Got every single one of them linked in the description. Back live Friday at 1. Have a good day.